Welcome to the festive Commit Happy Hour here on Friday, the 10th of December, where we're going to be joined today by an incredible man, Fran Raybuck from the US. He's going to talk to us all about toys for techies. I've sat through many of these sessions over the years, and he's always brought some surprises and some definite wants and desires for little bits of tech to fill up my Christmas stocking as Santa comes to deliver the presents. Before we can say hello to Fran and see what he's got for us this year, I'm going to hand you over to Stuart, who's going to take you through some of the bits and bobs before we start. So, Stuart, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ian, and welcome to everybody. We're very blessed today to have Fran on the call. Anybody that joins in at Christmas time to see Toys for Techies will know just what we're in for. So I'm not going to go through what COMIT is. I think everybody on the call, looking at the names, I think knows fully what COMIT does. But we're a community that collaborates. We bring together everybody basically, and we do some great things. And just to prove it, Fran's going to show us just what the tech can do today. So what was I going to say next? I was going to say this. If I can just bring on the next slide. We have got a number of projects that are either running or starting to run. If anybody's got any interest in getting involved in any of those, on the left-hand side, drop me a line. It'd be great to hear from you. So today's session. The script that everybody saw when they registered, I'll read it to you. It was entirely fabricated by Fran. Now, I know it raised a few laughs with a few people because I got some great comments. So thanks for all your comments. I'll try and read through some of those later. But the script, backed by popular demand for over 10 years, the fantasy of toys and ideas presented in the annual Toys for Techies. Those that have tuned in before will know that this was a regular theme with FIATECH and COMIT on the early webinars. And as Fran says, the elves have been busy this year in lockdown. They've all been wearing their masks and they've been cooking up more than just cookies. All the things that you loved are back. We've got Uncle Pennybaggs. We've got Frisky Fido. I'm looking forward to meeting that one. Plus all the useful ideas for sites and projects, and also for personal use. So I'm just going to move on quickly because I need to share the results of the registration with everybody. I did ask everybody what they wanted for Christmas, and can everybody see that? Just simply a couple of weeks off. It was the biggest number. A get together with friends and family, fair enough. High tech, yeah, great. Low tech, interestingly, nobody said anything about low tech. Maybe that falls under other or something else, scheme the elves. But all of the above 20%, well, your wish is granted, and Fran will show you how to get it all. Listen, one thing I want to say is questions. Open to any questions, whatever questions you want to ask. Whether it's related to the topic or not, just ask a question, doesn't matter. We'll get to that after Fran's been through his slides. And here's Fran. Fran needs no introduction. He's a visionary, he's an evangelist, he's an analyst, he's a communicator, and he's a futurist. And he leads BIM for FM. We've had several engagements with Fran over the years. He's come along to a lot of commit sessions, and we do this Toys for Techies thing every year. So I'm now going to hand over to Fran. Oh, Fran, it should all be yours now. Oh, one other apology. We've got two Ian Miskimims on the call today. We've got the real Ian Miskimim and we've got a stand-in. It's a technical challenge, but anyway, here we are.
All right, can you see me in the workshop here?
Yes, we can see the elves as well. Fran, it's all yours.
Oh, great. Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone. Great to be here. I always look forward to this. This is a great time. Now I just have to find where my presentation went to.
We can see it, Fran. It's on the screen.
Okay, that now I just need to see it. Let me see if I can pull my window down here. Here we go. All right, get to work, guys. Come on. I have to watch over you all the time. If you look up in the corner over here somewhere, I'll be popping out. See, you got to check on them. Hey, one of the favorite things, let's start right off with a letter to Santa. This is from me in. I expect to invite guests over during the holidays. Some of these pesky people want more than a beer. I don't know how to make all those mixed drinks, nor do I want to. And I want to spend the time making them all night. How can I be the perfect host and make these mixed drinks fast and perfect? Got the perfect thing for you. The My Drink Bomb. Real easy. You just take these things and you pop them in, you put in your favorite mixers, club soda, ginger ale, 7-Up, and then you add in the vodka or whatever else it tells you to add. So you don't have to know the ingredients. All the ingredients are in there, and they have a whole slew of things. You can buy them just like you buy your beer in a 6-pack over here. You can buy them in 2-packs. You just keep on buying and buying. And you know what? The kids too, they want to get into these drink bombs. So we have hot chocolate drink bombs. And with the hot chocolate drink bombs, they got little marshmallows inside. You can get them in a 12-pack. It's fantastic. And the kids also, there's bath bombs for the kids. The kids love this stuff. In fact, there's kits here, the rainbow bath bombs that you can mix and make your own bath bomb. I don't like the one here. It looks like it actually is some kind of drink or something like that, but it is birthday cake flavored bath bombs. Now, Ian, this sounds simple, but be sure, whatever you do, don't mix your bar bombs with your bath bombs. You'll have a bubbly mess. Oh, I got one more letter here. This is from Jerry. I know you always check your list twice. How can I find a place that I can look at to make my own list? Still looking, Jerry. Well, Jerry, I've scoured all the lists. I don't make all the toys. I try to find a lot of things by looking on websites, and I tried to find something that would be, appropriate for you, hip, and solve your problem. Well, where you want to go to, if you excuse the expression, is hip to save. Now, I know you had some hip issues, but this will solve both your hip issues and it will solve your shopping. There's a whole bunch of links on this site to get everything from coupons and furniture and grocery. I think you can even order kids on here. That's what it says, at least. Get ready for New Year's or pets. So anyway, there's your link, Jerry. Happy hunting. I bring up this. I really love just Pixar, and probably one of the most beloved, I think, films that have in the animated space has been all the Toys movies. It just reminds us of so many things that came in many of our childhoods. We see these original toys and things like that. I was a little bit disappointed in the last one that, you start to have Buzz off in the zone a bit. But anyway, so I introduced sort of the Toys for Techies because, or the toys story guys, because if you haven't been on this Toys for Techies, it's going to be a mixture here of just some fun stuff and real stuff. So supply chain has been a big problem here in the United States, everybody else. The docks are clogged, everything. And that's not going to help you getting the big thing this year. Whatever you're doing, and if you haven't found out about this or haven't been asked for this, and if you don't have it now, you probably won't have it. It's called Magic Mixies, and it comes with a little wand, and you take the top off, and it has some ingredients, and you put the ingredients in one by one by one. You know, there's little pads, and then there's some mixture stuff you pour in at the end, and you tap it with the wand. And then after the smoke all goes away, you reach in, and there's a little creature in there, and you created the creature. And then you can buy refills for these creatures, obviously. But if you don't have it now, I'm just going to tell you, you can't touch this. You're not going to be able to get it. But keep your eye out. I'm sure. And the good news is, if you don't get one now, you'll probably get one half price or something after the season's over. I do a lot of STEM stuff. I like STEM stuff. And this new company has come out with something that's very similar and may even look like something that you might have seen before. Previously, there were connector kits that called little bits that are very similar to this, but this is a little different in the way that it connects. There are more sensors. In fact, they don't necessarily connect to other things per se, but they connect through these sensors. And it's great with the instructions to really learn the basics of the electronics of this stuff. Lego, I talk a lot about Lego, and this is pretty unique this year. If you have a real Lego fan, and there's several companies that do this, Lego will do it themselves, but if you look for Lego and photo image or something like that, what you do with this, you send a picture into the company and you put your order in here. You can choose the size you want to do it and things like that. The price varies on the size. What they send back to you is the baseboard and all the little pixel pieces that you put on the baseboard with instructions. It's the way you used to color by numbers. You'll just follow the numbers. It says 23 or yellow or whatever. You put that pixel in, and after you're done the whole pixel, I'm telling you, it looks really good. It's hangable. So this is great for some people that want to. And this is the one site I found that you're seeing here, but you may find others. I'm sure there's probably some people over in the UK that have this, and they may even ship there too. I'm not sure. But this is a great thing to have somebody not just have some bricks and make whatever they want, but make an image that's hangable on the wall. When my kids were little, when my little elves were out there, they had this kit, and it's time to get the kids outside. You know, we've been inside for so long. And oftentimes, too, we forget at Christmas time, we don't get outside toys. We get, any sleds and things like that. This is a great kit to get people assembling things, making cars, making forts. My kids love doing this. Neighbors, everybody, all the kids in the neighborhood, everybody would come over to try and do it. Now, I'll tell you two problems with that. First of all, after the first 15 minutes, they get bored, and Dad, whoever's supervising, probably is going to have to finish this. Even worse than that, when it's done, when they're done riding, when they're done with the house, you got to take it all apart and put it away. But it really does, the wheels and things like that, it will hold fairly well, and you can get inside. In fact, they used to do a double decker. They used to put some of the flat sheets here down, and somebody would go on top and somebody would go on the bottom. I don't know if Neil's out there, but I know he always wants something to drink, so it's time to drink up. So here is the, it's like a pinball machine. You get your beer, you put your beer in there, you put the ball in, it spirals down, and it will land on one of these things, and then you have to do that. And it lands on 20 push-ups, sing a song, yodel, no drink, pass the pint, and bottoms up.
Love that.
All right. Just a sound check here. I want to make sure I'm not talking to myself. Can you hear me okay, guys?
Yes, indeed.
Oh yeah, this is fantastic. Thanks, Fran.
Okay, great. Hey, I don't know if you remember, but I think it was around 2013 timeframe, roughly. I brought over and showed a camera called a swivel. And basically you would put your iPhone or your iPad in it and connect it. And then you would wear a little button would act as a mic. And as you walked around, the camera would swivel and follow you. Well, at the time, that type of camera was pretty expensive. It was a couple $100, somewhere $200-300. Well, now you can buy these things. I picked the one up that's called On Air there. That's available, and I got it at Staples here in the U.S. for like $25. And you don't have to wear anything, and it picks you up and it follows you. So it's great, and it actually works with well, I don't know about go-to webinar here, but you know, the classic ones, the Zooms and stuff like that, works fairly well. The only negative on the lower end one there is that if you try to capture something moving fast, like if you make a quick move or something, so it slowly follows you. So if you're moving from one side to the other of a room and you're trying to show something on a blackboard even, it will work, but you just have to be aware of that. The real top of the line, you know, type of thing that you're going to put in a conference room when you get back so that you can still continue to Zoom with people. And you know, there are companies like Polycom used to have this stuff, but everybody's sort of got cameras on their own, sort of running their own now. This Owl Labs is great. They are, it takes 360 sound and video. So you can put this in the middle of the table, and it can capture video of everybody that's sitting around the table at the same time. It's not like the individual, you know, Brady Bunch squares or anything like that. It shows you visually there. And they have a whole bunch of other add-ons to add, you know, additional speakers and things like that. Really cool stuff, and I think you're going to see more of this. It's not going to go away. The move towards new integrations of all these web sharing things. Microsoft with Teams have speed things up. Zoom has come out of nowhere. They've literally zoomed, you know, to the top of the heap there. And there's many others, and there's many software companies now that are either cobbling together or have a product that allows you to do and arrange what they call virtual and real live conferences and combine them. So I'm going to mention something we did that was interesting, because we had one of these hybrid conferences where everybody was zooming in through the vendor, and then we had some people on site. I'll talk about what we did. It's pretty interesting. All right, I got something really cool here. Now, this isn't so cool. I'm sure many of you probably have one or more of these, and they're really a plug that go into your outlet, and then you plug something into it, and then it sort of gets onto your network, whether it's a Wi-Fi or some other connection way that you're doing it in the home. Well, these are gone. These are dead for me. And I needed something, especially I set trains up and I have different lights. One plug, you know, was not going to do it. I wanted a strip. And I tried different strips, but the problem with the strips, it turns all of them on or it turns all of them off. This is the one that you want to get. It's called Genie, G-E-E-N-I. 6 individual plugs, each of them individually controlled through your cell phone. So you can turn one off and turn one on. You can set timers. You can have something, you know, you can have, you know, a train set up, and as it gets darker at night or something, maybe all the lights come on in the houses. They could be plugged into one plug. Maybe you have something that's spinning around or running around. Maybe the train doesn't start until this one is turned on. So I really highly recommend this. I was pleasantly surprised when I found out this actually worked very well. So you control it again with your iPhone or your Android. from the app, and you have individual, and it also has voice control too. It's pretty easy to set up. Barbie's back. You know, every year we pick out something new for Barbie, and it always seems like Mattel does something wrong in the release of something new with Barbie, and they have a whole history. There's a link at the bottom there, or you can just Google, you know, Barbie mistakes or controversies. I only put a couple of them. I'll go through them. When one of the first Barbies came out, she was babysitting Barbie, and she had a book, and on the book it was, you know, how to lose weight or something, and inside it would say "don't eat." So they got criticized pretty heavily for that. Then they released another Barbie. They didn't learn to sort of knock it off with talking about the weight of Barbie. You know, we have our problems today with Instagram now, where young girls are seeing perfect bodies, and it's depressing. Well, imagine in these Barbie kits if they were doing all these things. In this Barbie, they put a scale, and the scale always stayed at 110. It didn't move or do anything. So it was almost a message saying, hey, you've got to stay at 110. Midge, they released Midge when she was pregnant and they had the baby, and you know, this anatomically may be educational. The problem was people felt that they were encouraging young girls to get pregnant, and Mattel took a lot of help for that. They had a deal with Oreos, and with Oreos they were going to put the Oreo logo on the box, and then they'd have different Barbies. Well, unfortunately, they released a black Barbie, and Oreo is a slur, an insult to potentially a black girl or a black woman. Man, I don't think it's just a male thing there. We all remember the talking Barbie, where she was saying math is hard. I actually have a recording of one of the Barbies. I didn't load it here, but anyway, if you have one of those, they're worth a lot of money because Mattel pulled those off the shelf. Skipper grows up. This was the show, girls, you know, that as they grow up, they change a bit. So you would move her arm and she would get a little bit taller. The only problem was she also got a little bit boobier. Her boobs would actually grow. Some people didn't like that. They did an interesting thing. They came up with a handicap Barbie in a real wheelchair. And you'll never guess what was wrong with this. One of the girls, it was actually handicapped, found out and wrote to them and told them, that says, you made a great handicap doll, but the chair doesn't go into the Barbie house. It won't fit. So there's a whole slew of these others, 14 different things that they did wrong at some point in time. When I say wrong, it wasn't meant to be. It just means that, you know, there was some, talking Barbie is the one that most people know, but there's been many things there that they've done. There was a whole, in fact, I remember talking quite a bit about the Toys to Life, both the Disney Infinity, Skylanders. They've all sort of disappeared. They're out of the market, and Lego was in the game too. And Lego, you built Lego things, and it's a fascinating game. Actually, I got one for an old Xbox, hooked it up for my grandson. Had a great time. It's really good. And it runs, all these run off of RFID, believe it or not. On the bottom are NFC chips, and the board that you place them on is an NFC reader. So anyway, they released, you know, I guess it's fire sale, a lot of these Lego Dimensions, and I got them, hooked it up. One of the problems I had is I couldn't find more characters, and you need more characters to get into certain things. Well, if you go online, you can find that somebody has wrote an app to write to the tag to make it whatever character you want, Batman or Robin or whatever. They collected them all and copied them. So it was interesting. We found some of them, and you know, you don't have to necessarily have the Lego character, but I got actually coin buttons and bought like 100 NFC tags and put them in the coin thing and wrote the different characters to them. So it's a great game. I'm not sure why that whole urge just died. But Lego is teasing about a sequel to this, and that will be a big hit. It was pretty popular when it was out. I'm going to talk about the metaverse now. You know, that's the new thing. As soon as Facebook became Meta with the infinity symbol, I knew this was going to be a change, and it had been predicted and talked about, and there was a lot of movement already. And this is really extending the gaming systems and the gaming systems that are out there. But we all know that in the engineering space and construction space, we've been building things where you can build a real building and then walk through it. The only thing typically that's different between like gaming systems is you really don't interact with things necessarily. You don't interact with other people, and you don't necessarily, you know, gather together to watch something. Sort of like, you know, MySpace. In fact, one of the future companies that I talked with said, you know, he doesn't believe in the MySpace, you know, because, or the metaverse stuff. And basically said because of MySpace failing, you know, years ago. Well, there's a simple reason. MySpace failed because we didn't have the bandwidth. We didn't have really the graphics tools to develop things with. And we have a lot of those things now. 5G is becoming a high-speed internet into the office and the house is available. This is probably the top, what is it, 7, I think, that I found pretty consistently listed as being the top winners in this evolving space. And this isn't just about games. This is going to be about interactivity. All the CAD players, the Bentleys, the Autodesk. In fact, Autodesk is often listed by financial guys as being heavily involved here. And I think some of that's because they've been into the entertainment business and all. But I think one of the top players, most people don't know about, but NVIDIA, if that merger goes through, and I know it's on hold, that'll be a great thing. So many of these things, as we're starting to move and we you know, be all got Zoom comfortable, I should say, we're now looking for the next thing. This virtual events are not going to go away. They're going to get bigger and they're going to have more add-ons and more things. So get ready now. I want everybody to get ready. And I want you to make your own avatar. You don't have to do it right now. In fact, don't do it right now. I want you to listen to me. So I made my one avatar and then I made another one, put him in some kind of, looks like a clown suit. I'm not quite sure. But you can make this with a readyplayer.me/hub. No charge. You just sign up, you go and you pick hair color, male, female, shirt. You pick all the things and you make one. Now, here's the really interesting thing about this. If the metaverse is going to succeed, you can't have the Facebook metaverse over here. You can't have the Microsoft metaverse over here. And Microsoft realized that because they were in the gaming system with the Xbox. So the PC and the Meta and the Xbox sort of merged, and you're allowed to go and play on either. The great thing about this avatar thing is it now is becoming, I'll call it a standard, but they have plenty of companies that are adopting this that you can actually go into with this avatar. So you don't create an avatar for Microsoft, you don't create one for the NVIDIA Omniverse world. You create one that can go in those that will adopt. And I think this will become, if not this, others or somebody will have to create it. In fact, not only create avatars and go from world to world, but the metaverses going from world to world. Now, if we're talking about this from a visual gaming system type, think about creating metaverses in potentially Autodesk and Bentley, and merging, the buildings and merging the information through gaming system like things. I think it's going to head in that direction. The other thing that's driving a lot of the metaverse, this is going to be the year of the glasses. Everybody's waiting for Apple. It's rumored that that's going to be announced first quarter. They're going to now, there's all different versions. Some of the glasses that are available now, the smart glasses, for instance, I'll take the Echo one. Echo only does voice to your phone, but some others will do that. Some will do video camera capture. You strike your glass and it starts to take a video. Other than, I'm sure I know I've experienced many a time. Oh, quick, take a picture. And you're fumbling to get your phone out, to open it up, to open the camera. So this is going to be sort of another way. And unlike Google Glass, it's not going to look geeky. You might not even know that the people are wearing these things. I think you'll know. We'll all adapt pretty quickly. And what's interesting is Facebook releasing their first version, and they're doing it with the eyeglass companies, with Ray-Ban they partnered with. But I don't think the big underwater scuba VR glasses are going to survive. Maybe in the gaming space, but we have experience in this. We had this type of capability when the television industry tried to create 3D television. And for a while, there was competing standards, and then there was one standard, and then nobody wanted it because they didn't want to sit there. They wanted to relax. They didn't want to wear goggles. I'm betting on, at least in our business, when I say our business, I assume most of the people here are in the engineering, construction, facility management space. And RealWear, who is a spinoff from, you may remember, GoldenEye, has created a very successful company now and a very successful sort of product. In fact, we use this for one of the events we were hosting. It was out in Minneapolis in the Target Stadium where the Twins play. They were going to go down in the bowels of the stadium there and show different things within security. Here's a water pump here, and here's how we do this, and here's how we clean. So there's a lot of equipment that's running that you don't see. Well, they were doing the tour physically, and they could have taken a cell phone or tablet and somebody holding it up. But the guy that was giving the tour just wore this and walked around and connected to everybody else in the conference. And they were connecting through Microsoft Teams. But RealWear also works now with Zoom and I think GoToMeeting. You got to check to see what they're on lately. But these are all major companies that you're seeing in different industries, in the airline and all. But this is where I think a lot of the interface for the engineering space is going. And they still allow you to visually see things, but binoculars. They also have a camera on. They can read QR codes and all. But it's holiday time, so let's have some fun. There's a website, Holiday Specs. You go there and you can order these glasses. Now, what these glasses do, if you've ever been out, I'm sure many of you have done this, and you're driving through one of these light parks. Well, what this does is it fragments the light coming in, and you see whatever you see. There's some 3D things. Sometimes they see Christmas trees and elf. So they have different ones that do different things, and they're cheap, so you can buy a couple of them forever. You can use them in the house too. Look at the Christmas tree, you get a different version, or a different version and vision too. Talked about game builders, and since I talked about the growth of the metaverse, and I think that's where not only our industry is going, but this is where people are calling Web 3.0. They're calling it the next generation of the internet. we're going to need a lot of talent in that area. It's going to be the new type of engineer that's going to have to be graphically, well set up. And the best type of engineering, the best learning skills, I think, is to have kids start to learn to build games themselves, build environments. And two things that I think you should look at. One is if you have somebody who has a Switch, and I think this is only on Switch, they have a thing called Game Builder Garage, and you build games and you have connections. The other one next to it, Pixiecade, I actually bought it and got it from a company in one of the local, fairs before we shut down back in 2019. You draw something on a paper and you use certain colors to indicate certain things. So one color might be a coin or money or something you collect. Another color might be an individual. Another color might be a solid wall or something. And after you do it, you take a picture of it. And now on your iPad or on your Android, you now can play your game with the things that you drew. So these are pretty widely available. They're in Target. Target used to be, the one we talked about a lot. I didn't litter them all around, but they're there. You can get them on Amazon too. It's only about $25. So if somebody has, an iPad or an Android, now you got to check the specs and make sure, with the company here, or you can go right to their website itself. I want to talk about ornaments too. I've got a lot of ornaments on our tree. I didn't bring the ornaments down; I'd probably be shot. But this is one. This is Pez Candy one, and I was amazed in reading on the box how it got the name Pez and what it stands for. It's a German word. It was invented over in Germany, the original one, and they were peppermint candies. And the German word for peppermint, and my German's very rusty, is something like P-F-E-F-F-E Minzy, Pfefferzy. So they just called it Pez. And this is, originally it was only peppermint. Then in 1950, they started adding dozens of flavors and all different dispensers. And this ornament is actually a replica of one of the collectible Pez things that they came out in 1980. The other one, and this I'm not sure this really strikes home even all across the United States, but when I was growing up, in our neighborhood, occasionally you see it driving around, was the Oscar Mayer mobile. And it played its typical Oscar Mayer tune. And I have this ornament, I got it, well, around 2000 actually, and you press it and it plays the tune, bring back some memories. It went away for a long time, and recently they brought it back. In fact, just when the war broke out, they sort of put it away and didn't do it, and then people wanted it, so they decided to have it again, and then it disappeared somewhere. I'm going to say in the late 70s or something like that, because I used to see in Park there was a Oscar Mayer warehouse, downtown by the stadiums, and you see this automobile, this Oscar Mayer mobile. Okay, Fido, your dogs out there, your cats, don't forget, they need to get something too. And I'm going to suggest something like this log, and it has chipmunks in it. You put them inside, and then he has a challenge of trying to get them out. And you'd be surprised. They enjoy trying to dig in and get these guys out. But it also reminded me of the chipmunks itself. When I was growing up, they were a big thing. And I can just remember the Christmas Chipmunk song and Dave trying to get Alvin to listen and screaming, Alvin! Oh. I'm just going to touch briefly on wireless. Not a lot of toys per se, unless you're into like the heavy STEM stuff, have changed in wireless. But surprisingly, a lot of these things now are really becoming important and coming to the forefront and using it, and starting to see NFC codes everywhere, or QR codes. You see QR codes, you read through RFID, NFC. Not all cell phones do that, and the NFC. So you got to check. If you have an older one, it might not do it. Most do now, and it's pretty interesting. It's probably better than barcode in a lot of ways because you can do steps of things. You can also do more things than you can typically do with a barcode per se. And they're static and dynamic. And somebody approached me about doing some stuff for them with this, and I'm working with them, and I'm looking to probably put together sort of a short class that will do NFC stuff and QR codes. I know you've been talking about having an upcoming 5G, and that makes sense. 5G is a big thing. Some people are poo-pooing it, saying, well, I don't need any more speed on my phone. The 5G isn't about the phone. 5G is to connect many other things and be able to control the bandwidth and split it up and change it and everything else. But it's not the only solution. There's a big growth in the low-RA or the low-RA WAN market. And the question isn't probably, is it going to be 5G versus low-RA? I think it's going to be more like 5G and low-RA, where you'll be mixing those two together in mega buildings to do all the IoT connections and things like that. Ultra wideband, which is the high end, the mid end of the frequency there, the 400, has been around since we first put out the RFID book and working with FIATECH on that. The problem was that it wasn't in any phones and the chips weren't cheap enough and everything else. Well, ultra wideband probably now is making it's in some of the top end Samsung phones. And now that Apple has jumped out, and not only they're making that, they're making the ultra wideband tags, if you will, and they're pretty expensive. I think they're like $25 or something like that. But ultra wideband solutions, and the advantage of ultra wideband is it creates more spatial awareness. You'll be able to walk around with your ultra wideband phone and find those tags. It's probably going to replace or complement what was moving towards low energy Bluetooth stuff. Robots. Everybody's doing sort of some kind of program a robot or code a robot now, and it's getting to the point where there's a lot of Me Too stuff. I'm glad to see that some companies, and this is the famous toy company to do educational things. In fact, I think it's a UK company, Thames and Cosmos. They've come out with a bionic hand. And I think this is useful because, first of all, there's been various kits to build bionic hands and things. Everything from the original 3D print, make your own. It was called Enable. And they were making these hands and sending them over to Africa and stuff where they didn't have, the medical equipment to make hands for kids that didn't have it. And these things worked. Now, this is a little more advanced here. But anyway, let me move on. It's a cool toy, I think, that it's important. I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to do sort of a commercial here. And it's not for me, it's something to educate you. And you may all be very well aware of this. I don't know if you're aware of the deadly lithium button batteries. They come out a lot at Christmas. You probably have them around the house. You may put them in other toys and things like that. You may have hearing aids or things. If a kid swallows one of these, it's dangerous. It's not just swallowing like a marble, because the battery starts to melt and potentially even link into the physical body. It's actually caused death. If somebody does happen to swallow a battery, one of these types of batteries, you really want to immediately call. This is from, if you go to Children's Hospital, they have a lot of stuff on it. My daughter, who actually works there, made me aware of the coin batteries. And if you think it's swallowed, again, there's an 800 number. I'm sure there's a similar number and a similar probably stuff. The batteries do the same thing in the US and the UK or anywhere in the world. But again, on the Children's Hospital side, if you just Google Children's Hospital and lithium button batteries or something like that, you'll find a lot of information and learn more. So spread the word and be very aware. Don't, I myself probably wasn't as careful as I should be, especially with two youngins running around. All right, enough of that. In the STEM world, everything has been electronics and mechanical, robots and things, but we need to start to begin to educate our kids in just the concept of sustainability. And that's going beyond, cleaning up some waterways or doing the good deeds like that, planting trees. It's important for them to understand the full life cycle and what it really means. And this company, Adventera, has a whole collection of games to teach kids about sustainability and the impact of making one choice over another. So if you're getting a gift for somebody and you want to get a different type of game or something, check out some of the games that they have here. Now, this is only for the very, 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 very rich people. These are expensive toys here. They're the most expensive toys in the world. But I thought I'd bring them up and at least we can drool over them a little bit. And I got this from a site, it was actually a financial site. And these links work so you can go and click on them. But a dollhouse, this is a dollhouse castle. You can see it there in the picture, 8.5 million. That's what it's worth. And it has a gym, a pool, 29 rooms, floors, kitchens. It even has a bar that has real tiny liquor bottles. I don't know if it has tiny bath bombs, though. But anyway, it actually has something that I thought was interesting. I wouldn't mind living in a majestic wizard's tower right there up above the top. Took 13 years to complete and build this. It weighs almost half a ton, almost 900,000 pounds. And the cost is 24,425 a square feet. A square foot, I'm sorry. Let me go. I'm not going to go through all these. I'm bring a couple up. Look at that. Who hasn't had a rocking horse? Well, you might not have had a rocking horse like this. This is solid gold. And as I understand, this actual horse was bought by Beyonce and her husband. His name escapes me now. But anyway, for their kid. So that's where that's living now. Now, this is a Barbie that's worth, somebody paid for it, $302,500. Even if you change that into UK, pound or something like that, it doesn't get any cheaper. But there's a whole description there. There's a real diamonds there on the necklace. 1 carat, square cut, pink diamond in the middle, 1 carat. And previous to this being built, it was auctioned off and the proceeds were donated to breast cancer. So that's a good thing. The previous record of the most expensive Barbie was $17,000, sold in 2006. This tops them all. And the necklace alone is worth $300,000. So the rest of the stuff is $2,000 something. Monopoly. This is a one-of-a-kind Monopoly that built. It was worth $2 million. Even the little dice, they cost $10,000. They put little diamonds, full cut diamonds, 42 of them into that. It now is in the Smithsonian, and it was donated by the creator there. I think how did he spend 10 years or something building it, or a year? Long time. But Monopoly is an interesting. there's an interesting video I saw that talked about the history of Monopoly, and you know, everybody knows it was based on created during the Depression and all that stuff. But the growth over the years, there's very serious Monopoly competitions out there that they have, and it gets pretty cutthroat. But they've morphed the game into other things, for instance, for different cities, not just Atlantic City. And then cities were selling them. Sports, they had, you know, Eagles or Dallas Cowboy, you know, versions of Monopoly and things like that. But one of the most interesting things are our friends at Target got Monopoly to create a Target version. And it's based, instead of going around the city or something, it's based on a shopping spree. They go around the board shopping for stuff, you know, things, losing your credit card. I don't know, lots of different things. But Monopoly is a classic. It's still worth it. It's a great game for kids to play, especially as they're learning money and all. How am I doing on time here?
Okay.
Okay, what does okay mean?
Yeah,
Look at my
you're
watch.
doing well, Fran. You've got about 10 minutes.
Okay, I got 10 minutes. No, I'm probably right on time here. I always pick out the things. There's two. There's the Toy Museum that announces the Toy of the Year, and it's really interesting. You should go to that link and look at all the things that have been nominated and became Toy of the Year through the years. Some of them you're very familiar with. One that didn't make it this year, but it was nominated, was the Cabbage Patch doll. I remember that era with My Little Elf. You know, they were impossible to get on the shelf, but somehow or other, Mr. and Mrs. Claus managed to get 4 of them for the little darling. Anyway, this year it's the American doll, which isn't that old. Many of these things are from the 80s. Now, Risk is older and developed. And sand, you may say sand. Why is that? If you look at the things that they inducted into the Hall of Fame, they're not all toys. For instance, ball and stick and ball or something, I think was one year. Rolled up or paper or something like that, because you make airplanes and roll. It's just interesting to see how we've evolved in playing. And let me go on. The other is the Toy of the Year from the Toy Association. Now, this is a large association. I'll be going to their conference. Hopefully, it's open again this year in New York in February. And if we don't get blizzards in, anyway, this year. And these are more recent toys. These are the new ones that came out. This is like one of the cool things to get. But not surprisingly, you know, Baby Yoda is one of the hot ones, and it talks and does different things, and consumers and all really like that. So anyway, they have other winners from this year. That was the main one. One toy that I didn't necessarily grow up with, I don't even remember having them, but I remember getting them for my little son elf. The first one of the, well, not one of the first versions, but when he was born that year, a Hess truck, and you would schlep off on Thanksgiving Day, or it might have been Black Friday, but you had to get there and buy it there, or they were gone in an hour. And now, unfortunately, here in the U.S., Hess has shut down its stations, so they don't sell them there. They only sell them over the the web, e-commerce. But this year's one is getting a lot of recognition, a lot of praise. So I bring it up. If you're interested, you might want to check that one out. Movies. It's time to get back to the movies. I've been out now and saw the Disney movie, The Jungle Cruise. I like that a lot. It was a fast action movie. I described it sort of as a female Indiana Jones type adventure. And if you'll see it, you'll understand it. The Rock is in it, and he's excellent just as a character. The latest James Bond that's been sitting in the can waiting to come out, I saw that. Good, typical James Bond. I'm not sure I like the end. I'll leave it at that. And you can go after. There's a lot of new ones too, just now starting to get released, and it's probably a good time during the holidays when you have some time to get back into the theaters and stuff like that. One of my favorite films, and I don't know why, but it's become the latest du jour film to say that it's biased or war. They're saying that I don't know what they're saying. I don't care what they say. It's in my mind, it's probably one of the best films. It's a Wonderful Life. Think about it. About your family.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Fran.
Brilliant.
Think about your friends. And I'm pretty much wrapped up there. I'm sorry.
Okay,
It
Fran.
really gets me. Hey, you know what? Let me take 1 minute here and thank a lot of people that I know are probably on here. You know, the COMIT group, people with Agile Handover, the Association of Facility Engineering, the GFMA group, Wayne and Bob and Stephen and all those guys. Many people that, you know, through the last 2 years now have helped keep me sane, and hopefully I help to keep them a little bit sane too. Let's get back to business, guys. Come on.
Thank you, Fran.
Anyway, look at this. What, they go home or something? Take a coffee break?
Yeah, where they go?
I don't know. I think they went and they're starting the happy hour early without us. That's horrible.
That was
Anyway,
fantastic,
hey,
Fran. Thank you very much. Once again, some fantastic gems.
Oh,
Brilliant.
yeah. So whilst I was watching through that, I made my own avatar, so I'll throw that around at some point. But I've got to say, I think the avatar that I created doesn't dress quite as well as me. So what can you say?
Yeah, if you remember, I think it was the last time I was over speaking there. I talked about Amazon had released Sumerian, and it was like a virtual room, and you could put things on the board and move into another room. They were working on this, and it's the biggest area. They're talking about the the metaverse of the next generation of e-commerce. Instead of looking at pictures, literally, sort of walking through a virtual store. And Amazon's not going to let somebody come along and take their retail business away. So it will be interesting to see. They also have, and I didn't know this until I looked it up and started looking at it, they have something called Lumberjack. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
Yeah, look up Lumberjack. All these things are sort of cooking in the background somewhere. And it's, I take it as being sort of not just a room-based thing, but maybe something more realistic than a Minecraft, for example. I think two companies I think that are really, really deep in this. One is Microsoft, and they have an advantage because one, they're in the gaming world. They have a gaming platform. They understand gaming. They understand software in that area. They don't make chips necessarily, or they have the box. The other thing is they bought Minecraft. And when they did that, a lot of people said, well, why did they buy a game company? Well, Minecraft, much more of a game. I'm finding my son, my grandson, when he likes playing Minecraft, but he doesn't like playing the game. He likes building. And what a great, feature set to have. I think it was Einstein that said that play is the most valued source of research or type of research. The idea being that as we play and as we experiment, as we do things, we learn, and we make mistakes, and we go back and we fix it.
Yeah, indeed. So, out of the commit team we've got up here at the moment, Stuart, out of all that stuff, what do you want in your Christmas stocking this year?
Well, I quite fancy some of that Lego that Fran was talking about. I've always been a fan of Lego, and I'm aware of some of the new products. I've seen a couple of adverts just recently, and the robotic stuff I think really interests me. And I did notice that on the registration questions, I think it was Carol from a company called SAIC in the States. You mentioned something, Carol, about the next generation of Lego robots, which was a coincidence really, because I'd only seen an advert the other day for some of these things, and Fran, you mentioning it as well early on, it took me right back to the early days when I got my first box of Lego, and it was quite nostalgic for me. I wish I could lay my hands on that box right now, but who knows where that is. So Lego for me, and I know there's a lot of other stuff there as well, but Lego, low tech stuff.
Yeah, so that Lego set was either bought for you as a child in the 1940s, Stuart, is that?
Oh, fantastic. You know what, you're a comedian, Ian.
Or did you only just buy it just recently because you are a big kid?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, a good kit is for robotics. It's been out, and Lego's pretty funny. They seem to release these things in phases and then stop. But I didn't have time to talk to it. I actually have it over here somewhere. But my grandson is getting into the Harry Potter ones, and they are just fantastic. Now they're ridiculously expensive too. You're not paying like $39.99 or something anymore to have Spider-Man swing around or something, but they're just fantastic. I have the whole train station he has. They have a good, reasonably priced thing. Others, they have the books for the different educational labs that Harry Potter goes through. Two of the greatest things that the UK has given us is the James Bond and Harry Potter.
Fantastic. So there's a question in from Smurf. He's asking, what was your favorite toy when you were a child? What's your favorite toy ever?
Combination of things, but during the summer, most of the time it was outside playing baseball. And I'm not talking about, 8 on one side, 8 on the other. It was like me, my 2 brothers, and one neighbor. We had maybe 6 or 7 of us. And, 3 would go out, and maybe we would recruit some new young guy. You got to go chase the ball, So it really, most of my fond memories were doing stuff like that during the summer. As far as toys, I was ridiculously flooded with toys. One, as I was older, I got a BB gun. I don't know when the Christmas Story came out, but it must not have been around then. But that was it was interesting. I even had a little target thing. My cousin got one too, so we'd go down in his basement, be shooting that up, and we were taught to respect guns too, so it wasn't like, other toys. There was, I had Lincoln Logs, that was okay, but slot cars or racing cars, I played with them a lot, and I collected track, and I collected, I tried to make more and more twists and turns and things like that. The problem is, it gets so big, it just takes up so much room. It's like, all right, you got to take that down now and put that away.
Yeah, you run out of power as well, because there's a limit to the amount of traction.
Well, no, it ran off a transformer. The power went into the side of the track, and then there were the 2 metal slots that little springs would get the energy from. So there was nothing in the car. Well, I'm sorry, they had little brush things that I kept blowing out.
Yeah, no, indeed, and I can completely empathise with you there, Fran, on the sort of going out and playing baseball or whatever it is, softball in the garden with your family. I think that's my biggest memory of toys as a child. Wasn't actually the things that people buy, but it was the things that you sort of made with your family. I remember as a kid, the
Right.
most fun I ever had was a big roll of lining paper, wallpaper, lining paper, and poster paints, and putting your feet in the different colours and your hands in the different colours, and just running around and making modern art. Andy Warhol, he's got nothing
Yeah.
on me,
Yeah.
but it's what you did
Well,
with your
that's what's
family.
interesting about in the history of toys and the top toys. Um, Many of the things that years ago, when we had depressions and things, were popular, still are popular today. You give I think a ball was one of the toys that you give a kid, any kid, male, female, ball, and they find something to do with it. Throw it against the wall, catch it. It becomes, in fact, in older days, they wind up the paper and take, some wire stuff and create their own balls if they didn't have one.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's sort of a question out to everybody here. Who they receive a present at Christmas and it comes in a big cardboard box. Who doesn't sit inside the cardboard box and play with the box more than the toy?
Well, you hit it again. The box was one of the toys early on that was voted into the Toy Hall of Fame.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So
You got to go back and look at that, and you'll find that many of the things, if you sit people in a room, random people, different age groups and stuff, you'd be surprised how often they share the same sort of like.
brilliant. So
I believe that as a rule of thumb, you need, at least 20, you need a generation for a toy to become beloved, let's say. That you remember it and they make a comeback. Many of those, like the Cabbage Patch, a couple, 3 years ago, company was trying to make a comeback with a Cabbage Patch. The difference now was that, they had eyes that opened and it talked a little or something like that. It worked. I mean, it was nice. My kids had Teddy Ruxpin, which was a popular toy. And they tried to do a comeback with Teddy Ruxpin, and it didn't work. It didn't take off. Everything is about the time and the marketing and the scheming.
Indeed. So the other that question goes to Jerry as well. Your favourite toy as a young or old? What was the toy of your memories?
I was, as a young kid, and still am, an avid reader. And as a very young kid, I read all the kind of noddy books. But one present I got, and I never forgot it, was a noddy puppet. So you had like the wooden crossbar, and Noddy on his strings. And I remember playing with that. I loved that puppet. I played with it endlessly. I have to say a lot of the time was undoing the knots of the string, but I did love that puppet. And I've just had an early Christmas present because I have a new hip and I am totally mobile. So I'm back. I'm back. Totally mobile.
Brilliant news.
Well, you're ready to go to the hip site now too.
Absolutely. When you're over here, boy, you're going to see some dance moves from me.
Brilliant. I've got to say, out of all those things that you've shown, Fran, what really stuck in my mind was that sort of connect type. So you're basically building almost a life-size little house or an aircraft they showed, or they created a go-karty type thing. Love that. I mean, how cool is that? You can not only have that, but you could add your cardboard box to it. You can add your whatever it is, and just keep on imagining and keep building. And I think those are the toys to me that are the best, because they're not ones that make you do something. They make you think of what you want to do and enable you to do to follow your dreams. It's like the coding ones that you showed us over the years, or the ones where you can create your own avatars or create your own stuff rather than, and I know Stuart's obviously a Lego man, but you know, the Lego box itself told you to create this particular car or this particular thing, and so you follow. I never built the things that were on the Lego box. I always built my own thing because I don't know. I think building your own stuff, imagining your own stuff, finding different ways is just, it's human.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've got no other questions coming in here. Some brilliant comments from the various people online.
Yeah, we got one here, Ian, which I'll just read. It's quite pertinent, actually. This is from a guy called Dave Milne at BAM, and Dave, it's really a comment, I suppose. He's had a Raspberry Pi for 2 years. He bought the base electronics kit, touchscreen, and it's all been pretty much sat waiting for him to do something. I think he's asking a question here as well, actually. How do others get started tinkering with no experience and a lack of spare time? Fran, what are your thoughts on Raspberry Pi?
To get started in electronics, are you asking?
Yes, I think that's it. How does he get started tinkering?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think about that a lot because, you know, a lot of things, they're not cheap.
No. They're getting cheaper.
But one of the best things that happened, and actually the source of this was in the UK from the BBC. They worked with Microsoft and created what's it called, MicroStation or something. It's a small chip. It's like an Arduino or Raspberry Pi, but it's powered a little bit less. You can buy them for about $10 roughly, and you can get a bunch of sensors, you know, a sensor kit for like $20-30. You can build tons of things. And there's lots of online learning. So that's on the low end. And as I talk to different teachers and stuff around, they want to do stuff. I suggest, you know, using all the programming is done using Sketch, but you can switch it over and see the coding in JavaScript. And I think it's also in Python, but maybe not everything in Python. So,
yeah.
You know, it's a quick way to quickly ramp up somebody. Now, eventually they'll get bored with doing that and they'll want something more. And that's when they pretty much start to go to something like a Raspberry Pi, and then they jump into using more Python. Now, Python that's an adult language. People are looking for people that can do Python. So I think you're going to have, you know, a whole group of young kids coming out that are going to be ready and able for the workforce as long as we focus on really the core STEM stuff. And, you know, reading and writing, I think, are skills too that we've sort of lost faith in some way. You know, there's whole arguments over here about changing and teaching new history and things like that. It's horrible. You know, focus on the basics: reading, writing, and arithmetic. And math, and you know, that's what I majored in. I was always fascinated by things that work together, or figuring out puzzles or things like that. In fact, you know, if that was a thing, I think that kept me busy was just books and you know, reading puzzles or doing, you know, math things. I just always found that stuff fascinating.
I've got one other comment I want to make here.
Yes.
This came from Neil at Sir Robert McAlpine. He's saying, joined for fun, interested in the tidbits. This is the ultimate cocktail session for the season. Thanks, Neil, for that. I think there's another. Did I see another comment come in there, Ian?
Just Matt Smurf had to go. He's got to go. So
I think there was one comment here from Sue Butcher. Any COVID-related gadgets? Other than the Be Able project, nothing I can think of. Fran?
I think the only sort of COVID-related gadgets I've seen, and I saw it up in London, was 2 little fans that clip onto your glasses. Because when you wear a mask on the tube, I don't know where you find it. It ends up sticking out your glasses, and you've got to wear the mask, but you can't see through your glasses at the same time. Oh, here you go. It's even. You can't see anything. But yeah, I saw this guy, and he had these tiny little, kind of like a clip-on sort of fan type thing that was clearing the steam out of his glasses. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
sweet, excellent.
Well, nothing. I've no other questions or comments here, apart from one other thing from Sarah Fox. Making sure that the tech we buy, how can we make sure the tech we buy is the most sustainable in terms of production, use and disposal? I suppose that's something we've been battling with for years, but I don't know. Any thoughts on that, Fran?
I'm sorry, I missed the end of that. Any thoughts on
the tech that we buy? How can we ensure it's the most sustainable in terms of production, use and disposal?
Oh, well, unfortunately, a lot of these things are metal, and there is recycling. You know, it's almost like metals now are becoming very, very expensive, so it pays. You don't just throw out a circuit board or even a PC anymore. Everything is getting recycled. But in the toys, unfortunately, many toys are made up of plastics, and plastics don't disintegrate well. I know in the 3D print space, it was a big concern, the type of filament and stuff that you were doing. And I think many things are in the space will be reusable. It's unfortunate that we're still, kids are going to school now and they're getting iPads, or they're getting, more often than not now, they're getting Google Chromebooks and stuff. And the life cycle on those, I'm afraid, is probably, 18 months or really like maybe 2 years. But I'm afraid the school system will be stretching them out into 3, 4, maybe all 8 years, I don't know how that's going to turn out, but we're still building things and computerized things that are not upgradable easily. I bought many computers over the years, and many times I bought it and wanted the expandability. And I think only 1 or 2 times did I ever open up and expand anything or put more hard drive. They always just allowed you to extend it beyond that.
Yeah, sure. I've got a couple of announcements to make here just before we finish up. I'd like to thank our sponsor, O2 Business. I'll make the webinar available on the website as soon as I can get that downloaded and converted. Sign up to YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, COMIT on Facebook. And the next session we've got is on the 28th of January, and there's 2 people in the offing for that. So it's one other announcement is the community days next year, February 24th, 9th of June, JCB World Headquarters in Staffordshire, and October, Milton Keynes. I have nothing else to add other than say thanks very much to Fran.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't offend anybody, or I wasn't. If you really want to talk techie, I can do that too. We can switch, but we do that 11 months out of the year. This month here, and I hope everybody learns something or here or there, and some piece of technology that's going to impact them. I'm very interested in the whole movement in the metaverse, agile handover. You know, we're moving in directions now with, you know, and it's very closely related to all the digital twin stuff. So we'll be making some announcements there coming up for this year. Watch if you don't follow me on Twitter or on LinkedIn or something, reach out to do that. But I would really like to work if people are interested in this new world of the metaverse. And it's not new to engineering. Unfortunately, the emphasis seems to be on more business type things, like I said, conferencing and stuff like that. And I think we should probably have an experimental session.
Yeah.
And you know, that we meet in one of these worlds, if you will.
Indeed. Indeed. Topic for the new year. Jerry, thank you very much for your support this year. We've had 12 sessions and you've supported everyone. Thank you very much for that. Ian?
You're welcome. Can I add something?
Yeah, sure. Carry on.
Just quickly, a lot of you that are listening in have been regular webinar people. Thank you so much for your support. Look forward to being with you next year, a better year hopefully for all of us. Have a lovely Christmas and above all, keep safe. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Jerry.
Ian?
Oh, just to thank Fran for coming along once again and wowing us with some amazing technologies, some awesome toys, and certainly you know, showing us what is possible out there on those kind of things. And I have a really big thank you very much is for Stuart. You have arranged all these webinars. You've been holding the COMIT world together over the last 2 years, making sure that this all happens during the COVID lockdown. I just wanted to say thank you so very much for all your efforts last year and this year. You are certainly the star on top of the Christmas tree for me every year. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you all, and we will see you all in the new year.
Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.